YouTubers and cinephiles, welcome back to another edition of Nerd with me. I am John Ricky, and today we're taking it back a little bit to a year 1995. Good number of great movies came out that year. Braveheart, Usual Suspects, among others. And two producers become overnight rock stars throughout this decade. They own this decade, and that is Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer. They've arrived with hit after hit after hit, and this is no exception. Crimson Tide, starring Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman, along with some future megastars like Viggo Mortensen, James Gandolfini, right before he did Sopranos, and a whole plethora of character actors that you know and love. You know them if you see them. A great cast. So this story is about a submarine. Basically, it's Das Boot, Jerry Bruckheimer style. Denzel plays a young officer who's assigned to be the first officer on this boat, commanded by Gene Hackman, who's an old school Cold War veteran. It's the end. There's a situation with Russia. What else is new? And there might be nuclear war. But the whole situation happens that when they go under, they lose communication. Let's just say there's a standoff between the first officer and the commander, who believes they should fire on all cylinders, and the first officer, Denzel, who believes they should wait because they can't confirm it. And that's the tension of this movie. The film is directed by Tony Scott, aka Ridley Scott's little brother. He directed Top Gun and Beverly Hills Cop 2. He is basically, him and Jerry Bruckheimer were great friends, unfortunately, until his death quite a few years ago. But they have a great partnership. Made a lot of good films together. But let me ask you this. When you think of a Jerry Bruckheimer film, what do you usually think about? What usually comes to mind? Pure action, some comedy, and yeah, you get the thrills from the action. I'll tell you this is completely subversive of what the usual Jerry Bruckheimer fare is, and I think it's actually his best movie that he's produced, because this is the epitome of what the original thriller was. It wasn't about explosions or car chases or anything like that. It's really just pure tension, almost Hitchcockian, as in that type of suspense, because you don't know what's happening outside here, you don't know what's happening there. You might know something that's happening here, but you never know. And that's a top thrill, and that's the way Tony Scott directs this. You feel claustrophobic in this submarine. It almost feels like a prison, because, you have nowhere to go. Where do you go? And the way it's shot, you really feel like you're in there with this whole crew and seeing their day-to-day lives. This film is written very well. It's a very well-written thriller. The writers are Richard P. Hendrick and Michael Schiffer. Michael Schiffer is a pretty good writer. He created, or rather wrote, some classic movies like Colors and Lean On Me right before doing Crimson Tide. He also went on to write the first few Call of Duty games. So, pretty impressive. There's also a little rewrite done by Quentin Tarantino, so hey, that's an added bonus there. And you can tell where, what they left in from Tarantino's portion, particularly the part where two crew members fight amongst each other because of the dumbest reason possible. It really brings a lot of levity to a tense movie like this. They're talking about who's the better Silver Surfer, the one done by one artist and writer, or the one done by the original guy, so on and so forth. And it really creates a lot of, it was just really well put there, to really show how being in that confined space like that, and of course you're gonna get some cabin fever probably. We've all had roommates, probably been in a few fights with our roommates, so on and so forth. You know the deal. But the writing is the star of this movie, besides Denzel and Gene Hackman, because they exemplified this really good script. You get a whole bunch of nuggets. You get character development, and the situation all at the same time. Everyone reacts believably to the situation in whatever position they're in. And the script really raises a lot of questions. This movie raises a lot of questions about the nuclear war, and is it good, is it bad? And one of the best bits of dialogue was when the ideologies of Gene Hackman and Denzel, they're talking over dinner on the sub, and Denzel, okay, who's the enemy? It's like, no, the enemy is war. And you're just like, that makes sense. In a nuclear war, enemy is war itself. I mean, it's really poignant stuff, and delivered by masterminds in the craft of acting, with Denzel, Gene Hackman, James Gandolfini. I mean, all these guys. I mean, they're all acting their asses off, and all believable, and come across as three-dimensional characters, each and every one of them, down to the smallest role in this movie. The music really sets the tone too. I mean, I believe it's done by Hans Zimmer. I swear, that man has never had a bad score in his life. I mean, next to John Williams, like, Hans Zimmer is a strong second to that guy. I mean, it's great, it works. You feel the tension throughout this whole movie, and it's beautifully done. And of course, the cinematography looks amazing. You feel like you're in the thing, and that's also thanks to the set design, so on and so forth. But I have to say, for a Jerry Bruckheimer film, like, this is his best produced film, because, I mean, it's so different. It's such a departure from just having action scene, because this is really, the action is minimal, and it's really just all about the choice and like which side you're on, who's right, who's wrong. It's more about moral responsibility. And to me, this is Jerry Bruckheimer's best film probably ever, to date. A thriller to the pure sense of what a thriller used to be. And for that, I give this film Crimson Tide.
I'll be back.
Yeah, man, it took me a long time to see this film for some reason. For some reason, I always knew about it. And it's definitely Tony Scott. I think it's Tony Scott's best film next to Man on Fire. But yeah, I just kept missing this one. And I knew it was good. I mean, Denzel, Gene Hackman, they always make good, decent movies. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, check it out. Rent it, buy it on Blu-ray. And let me know what you think, guys, if you haven't seen it. Or if you have seen it, let me know what you think about the movie. Anyway, thanks for listening to me, YouTubers and Cinephiles. I'll check you later.